I'll never forget sitting at my kitchen table with a color-coded spreadsheet feeling so proud of myself, only to have my account overdrawn 3 weeks later. I thought I was broken. I thought I just wasn't good with money. The one budgeting rule that changed everything, it's not the 50-30-20, it's not envelopes, and it's definitely not another app. It's a rule almost no one teaches, yet it's the only one that finally stuck for me. But what if the real problem isn't you at all? What if the way we've been taught to budget is backwards and flipping on its head is the only way to finally stick to it? You've tried every budgeting trick in the book. Maybe you've even downloaded the pretty apps, bought the fancy planners with colorful stickers, and told yourself, this time I'm sticking with it. Maybe it's not the tool, but the approach. Because somehow 3 weeks in, you're staring at an empty account, wondering how the math went sideways again. It feels like every paycheck slips through your fingers, no matter how much you plan. My friend, you're not alone. I've been there, and I want to let you in on a budgeting rule that flips the script. It goes against what most financial gurus preach, but once you understand it, you'll see why it works with human nature instead of against it. This little shift is the reason some women finally get off the budgeting roller coaster and actually stick to a plan for the first time in their lives. And stick around until the end, because if this all sounds like old news to you, I've got some advanced strategies just for you. So grab your coffee, settle in, and let's talk about why most budgets fail and the only rule that changes everything. Why most budgets fail before they even begin. Here's the truth. Traditional budgets are built backwards. That's a lot of B's. You're told, pay your bills, save what you can, and then if there's anything left over, you can spend it on fun. Sounds logical, right? But let's look at what really happens. You sit down, add up your rent or mortgage, car insurance, payments, groceries, maybe a minimum debt payment or two. Then you think, okay, well, what's left for me? And the number staring back at you is something depressing, like $23 for the entire month. Suddenly your budget isn't a tool, it's a prison. It's a list of everything you can't have. Dinner out with friends? Not in the budget. The cute pair of shoes? Forget about it. That novel you've been dying to read? Maybe next month. Except next month never seems to come. Here's the kicker. When you live in a constant state of financial deprivation, it doesn't make you stronger. It makes you resentful. And sooner or later, you're gonna crack. You overspend, you feel guilty, and you tell yourself you're just bad with money. Then you quit the budget altogether. Sound familiar? The problem isn't you. The problem is that traditional budgeting ignores basic human psychology. We're not robots. We can't run on delayed gratification forever. The deprivation cycle. Let's get real about what happens when your budget is built on restriction. Psychologists call it reactance. Basically, the moment you tell yourself you can't have something, your brain wants it 10 times more. So maybe you sneak that $15 book and think, it's just this once. Or you justify a $40 Target run because you've been so good. Before long, those little rebellions add up and your budget is blown. Cue the guilt spiral. Why can't I get this right? Maybe I'll never be good with money. Meanwhile, the truth that your budget doesn't account for your need for joy gets overlooked. And the cycle repeats. Restrict, rebel, regret, repeat. That cycle doesn't mean you're weak. It means the system was rigged from the start. The rule that changes everything. Budget for joy first. Here's the one rule that changed everything for me. The shift that transformed it all. Budget for joy first. Yeah, you heard me right. Instead of saving joy for whatever's left over, which is usually nothing, you make it the first line item. This doesn't mean reckless spending. We're talking about small, intentional amounts that feed your soul. $20 for coffee dates, $30 for craft supplies, $40 for Friday movie nights, or $15 for fresh flowers that make your kitchen feel alive. Even $10 set aside for something that lights you up can keep you from blowing hundreds later. Why? Because your brain feels satisfied. You're not constantly denying yourself, so you don't rebel. Think of it like this. A budget you stick with 80% of the time beats a perfect budget you abandoned after 3 weeks every single time. How joy first budgeting works. So how do you actually do it? Step 1, figure out what actually brings you joy. Not what Instagram tells you, not what your sister loves, but what genuinely makes you happy. Maybe it's not the $80 gym membership you never go anyway. Maybe it's the $3 tea that makes your morning peaceful. Step 2, give it a number. It doesn't have to be big. For most people, $50 to $100 a month is more than enough. If money's tight, start with $10. The point isn't the dollar amount, it's the priority. Step 3, write those joy items at the very top of your budget. Then do your bills, your groceries, debt, everything else. Protecting joy first changes the way that you look at every other line. You'll be surprised how much more motivated you are to meal prep or compare insurance rates when you know it's safeguarding your little happiness fund. Speaking of joy, have you signed up for the Penny Jar yet? It's my free weekly newsletter that comes out every Friday, just once a week, packed with practical, frugal living tips to help you save more and stress less straight to your inbox. No spam, just good stuff. The link is below. The psychology behind why it works. Here's why the rule sticks when everything else fails. It rewires the way your brain sees budgeting. Instead of associating budgets with restriction, you start associating them with rewards. Research shows we're more likely to stick to new habits when there's a positive reinforcement. That small joy, whether it's coffee, books, or a date night, becomes the treat that keeps you motivated through the less exciting stuff. In this case, the boundary of not overspending is attached to that special treat that you know is coming. James Clear said in Atomic Habits, you're more likely to find a behavior attractive if you get to do one of your favorite things at the same time. It also stops the all or nothing mindset. Instead of, well, I blew it, I may as well just give up, you think, no, I've already built in some fun, I'm good. And here's the sneaky bonus. Budgeting for joy actually teaches patience. You're not saying no forever, you're saying, I've planned for this and it's coming. That reduces impulsive spending because you trust that your wants matter too. Before we jump into the 3 specific ways this works, let's pause for a second, because here's the truth. Budgeting isn't just about math. It's also about mindset. If we were only about numbers, every spreadsheet would have solved our problems years ago. The reason most budgets fail isn't because we can't add or subtract, but because we don't understand how our brains react to money rules. That's why these 3 psychological principles are so important. They show us what's happening under the surface, why we crave rewards, why we sabotage ourselves, and why trust matters more than willpower. Once you see these patterns, you'll understand exactly why joy-first budgeting actually works when everything else has failed. Number 1, the dopamine effect. Let's talk brain chemistry for a sec. When you anticipate something enjoyable, your brain releases dopamine, the feel-good chemical that motivates you to take action. Most budgets completely cut off this reward loop. It's like running a marathon with no finish line. You eventually quit because there's no sense or payoff. But when you budget for joy first, you create these little finish lines throughout the month. That Friday coffee date, that new book waiting on your nightstand, that paintbrush you've been eyeing for your hobby, your brain says yes, there's something to look forward to. This matters because dopamine doesn't just make you happy, it makes you consistent. It pulls you back to your budget over and over because you trained your brain to see money management as a source of pleasure, not as punishment. That's powerful. Number 2, breaking the scarcity mindset. Many of us grew up with some version of we can't afford that or money doesn't grow on trees. Those messages sink deep, and before we know it, we're carrying a scarcity mindset into our adulthood. Traditional budgeting only reinforces that belief. Cut, cut, cut until there's nothing left. But here's the shift. When you write joy at the top of your budget, you're telling yourself, I believe there will be enough. It's not about spending recklessly. It's about retraining your brain to see money as something that you can manage with abundance, not with fear. That shift builds confidence. Instead of dreading your budget, you start to trust yourself. You see that you can have both stability and joy. And when you operate from that place of confidence, you're less likely to sabotage yourself with emotional spending. Number 3, building trust with yourself. Think about the last time you broke a promise to yourself. Maybe you swore you'd eat healthier, or you said you'd stop scrolling at 10 p.m. It doesn't feel good, right? Over time, when we don't keep our promises, we lose trust in ourselves. That's what happens with restrictive budgets. You set them up with the best of intentions, but because they're unrealistic, you end up breaking your own rules. Eventually, you stop believing you can stick to any plan. Joy-first budgeting flips that script. You're not setting yourself up to fail. You're giving yourself a plan that's sustainable, which means you actually follow through. And every time you stick with it, you're rebuilding trust with yourself. You start to believe, I can do this. I am capable of managing my money. That self-trust is worth more than the dollars you're moving around, because once you trust yourself, you're unstoppable. You can tackle debt, save for a retirement, or even plan big dreams because you know you'll actually follow through. A step-by-step guide. So how do you actually put this into practice? Well, let's break it down into simple steps that you can follow today. Step 1, pick your joy. Start small. Choose 1 or 2 joy categories that truly make you smile. Not what you think you should bring joy, but what really brings you joy. Maybe for you, it's a weekly coffee shop visit, $20 to $40 a month. Fresh flowers or small decor that brighten your space, $15 to $35 a month. Books or audiobooks that keep you inspired, $20 to $40 a month. A hobby supply fund, art, knitting, puzzles, whatever lights you up, $25 to $50 a month. Notice how none of these things are extravagant. They're simple, affordable joys that give you life without wrecking your budget. Step 2, put them at the top. Write these joys first on your budget, literally at the top of the page, before rent, utilities, or groceries. This signals to your brain that joy is not an afterthought. It's a priority. Step 3, build around your joys. Next, fill your necessities, your housing, food, insurance, debt payments. If the math doesn't work, scale the joy fund down a little bit. But don't cut it completely. Even $5 to $10 makes a psychological difference. Step 4, track it separately. This is key. Give your joy fund its own little container. It might be an envelope of cash, a note in your phone, or a separate fund money account. When it's gone, it's gone. That limit actually makes the joy sweeter because you savor it instead of letting it slip away unnoticed. The magic of this system is that it's flexible. Your joys can change over time. The amount can grow or shrink, but the principle stays the same. Joy first, everything else second. That's what keeps you consistent. Boundaries that keep you healthy. The key to making this work long-term is respecting the limits. If your joy budget is $30 and you spend it all in 1 week, that's it. No more until next month. And I like to use a cooling off rule for bigger wants. If it costs more than my usual joy budget, I wait 24 to 48 hours. If I still want it, I plan for it next month. This keeps me from impulse buying and leaving room for flexibility. And remember, your joy should reflect you. If you hate lattes but love puzzles, then don't waste money on coffee because everybody else does. Try rotating your joy categories too. Maybe books this month, holiday decor next, and then gardening in the spring. This keeps things fresh and fun. Common concerns. Whenever I talk about joy first budgeting, I hear the same objections, and I get it. If you've been in survival mode with money, this idea can feel uncomfortable or even irresponsible at first. Let's work through the most common concerns together. I can't afford extras. Joy doesn't have to be expensive. Even $5 for 1 coffee can shift your mindset. It's not about the size. It's about giving yourself permission and providing your worth, caring for yourself in small ways. But I have debt. Well, this isn't about ignoring debt. It's about making your budget livable while you pay it off. A planned $20 joy keeps you from blowing $200 later. That small allowance helps you stay on track longer. Well, what if I overdo it? Your joy fund has limits, just like your rent. When it's gone, it's gone. That structure teaches discipline without deprivation and helps you savor what you spend. My partner thinks it's silly. Reframe it as prevention. Planned joy keeps financial stress from boiling over. Better yet, set up separate joy funds so you each get guilt-free money for what matters to you. I don't even know what brings me joy anymore. If you've forgotten, start small. Notice what makes you smile. Flowers, hobbies, things you save on Pinterest. Joy often shows up in the little things you've been overlooking. Here's some advanced strategies. Once you've got the basics down and joy first budgeting starts to feel natural, you can level it up. Think of it as moving from beginner mode to long-term mastery. These strategies keep things exciting and sustainable over the years. Seasonal joy funds. Instead of trying to fit everything into one monthly bucket, consider saving toward bigger seasonal joys. For example, tuck away $20 a month for 10 months and suddenly you've got $200 for an overnight getaway or a summer family activity. The joy feels bigger because you anticipated it, planned for it, and didn't have to dip into your emergency fund to make it happen. Percentage-based joy. If your income goes up and down like side hustle money, freelance work, or commission-based pay, consider setting aside a percentage instead of a flat dollar amount. For instance, 3 to 5% of your income automatically goes to joy spending. This way, your joy fund grows when your income grows, but it never takes over your budget. Rotation. If you've ever felt like your joy budget got stale, this is your solution. Try rotating your categories every few months. Maybe it's coffee and books in the winter, then plants and patio decor in the spring. This keeps you from feeling bored and makes the joy feel new again. Joy multipliers. Look for joys that give you more than one hit of happiness. A streaming subscription is fun, sure, but a cooking class that teaches you skills you'll use for years, that's a joy multiplier. The key is choosing things that bring lasting value, not just a quick dopamine hit. Think puzzles that last all winter, a set of paints that fuel dozens of projects, or hiking boots that give you years of outdoor adventures. Quarterly review. Finally, check in with yourself every 3 months. Ask, what's working? What's not? Maybe you realize the flowers you buy each week don't bring you as much joy as you thought, but the $20 audiobook subscription keeps you going through tough commutes. Redirect your money toward what truly makes you happiest. A Joy First budget isn't rigid. It's alive, just like you. Budgeting for Joy First doesn't make you irresponsible. It makes you realistic. Because let's be honest, what's the point of a budget that keeps you alive but miserable? You won't stick with it. When you put joy at the top, you create a system that respects your needs, your psychology, and your humanity. You start to see budgeting not as a prison, but as a pathway to both security and satisfaction. So try it. Even if it's just $10, write it at the top of your budget. Protect it like you would your rent and see how much easier it is to stick with your plan. Because here's the truth. When you allow yourself small joys now, you make the bigger joys like debt freedom and retirement security possible later. And if this video spoke to you, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and watch this video next.